Over the next few years, I strongly suspect that we will be seeing kind of a battle between major consumer electronics corporations. And they're going to be fighting over a specific territory that will expand, well, I don't know, tenfold, 20-fold over the course of the next 5 to 10 years as it continues to develop, because we are in the nascent days of something called the Metaverse. Yes, the Metaverse. Now, obviously, Facebook's trying to take the lead here. That's why they've stepped so aggressively into VR technology over the course of the last few years. Now, there are other players in the electronics markets that are also offering VR headsets. Of course, HTC with their Vive and Valve with their own version called Index. Well, there's also a small console player. Okay, they're not that small. That's also on this bandwagon. It's Sony with their PlayStation VR. And now we're on the cusp of a new VR headset from Sony, the PSVR 2. And they're already predicting doom. Let's take a look. Here we go. So as I said, Sony has their own VR platform, and if you had a PlayStation 4, you likely bought a camera that was, well, essentially a 3D positioner. It also could pick up sound and do a lot of other things, and it worked pretty well. A stereo camera that would essentially locate where you were based on, well, if you were wearing the headset or even if you weren't. This all started way back with the PlayStation 3 when it essentially could track your movements, and very basically kind of like a Kinect used to do for Microsoft. Now, PlayStation kind of dove into this with various versions of games being available to play in VR, and they were a lot of fun. But under their new PSVR 2, will it be more than that? Let's take a look real quickly. Courtesy of Variety's intelligence platform, we have why Sony's PSVR 2 has no real chance to climb out of Meta's shadow. Wow, that's strong right away. After confirming the name of its PlayStation VR successor would simply be PSVR 2 at CES in January, so a few months ago, before furthering details of the specs in February, Sony is rumored to be sending out emails hinting that the official showcase for the PSVR is imminent. Similar to how Sony is rejiggering its approach to PlayStation subscriptions, this update to its virtual reality headset for gaming was long expected. Well, of course, first of all, it's a lot more lightweight, tech's easier to work with now, and you can essentially do it with limited exterior operating features, but we'll keep going. But data from IDC makes it clear that the PSVR brand has a significant uphill battle to stand out among other VR headsets once again. Well, it did before, to be honest with you, but owning one of these, which I do, I thought it was comfortable most of the time, and despite the occasional get dizzy from vertigo thing, which I didn't get with the HTC Vive, it was fine to work with. I'll keep going. Company market share of the 2021 AR VR headset shipments. Now you can see here, Meta, which is the Oculus stuff, that they own it, right? Then of course you have HTC, which is the Vive, the IQY1, the Sony, obviously, and the Valve. Those are about 12.4%. They're the second largest. Then you have, of course, the ByteDance Pico, which is the smallest of them all, which is about 4.5% of the market. Obviously, that's primarily China-based. And then you have the DPVR, which is about 5.1%. As you can see, of the 11.2 million units shipped, they were basically the Oculus for the most part. That's 78% of the market. Per its annual tracking of headset shipments, IDC found that PSVR just wasn't just well below the 78% share of the 11.2 million shipments. It failed to rank among the top 5 headset manufacturers, with Chinese companies DPVR and ByteDance. So there you go. While VR is still a relatively niche medium for gaming and other interactive experiences, the speed with which Meta knocked PSVR out of the running as the standout headset from 2019 to 2020 via the Quest 2 was nothing short of cutthroat, which I would agree with. By the way, one of the things I hate about the Meta headset is because you have to have a Facebook account. It's the only way that they're going to be, they'll be able to keep Facebook viable, in my opinion, but that's not in here. We'll keep going. Global VR headset shipments, you can see the breakdown here. They were just crushing it. As vicious of a competitive leap forward as this was for Meta, the reasons behind it were simple. For one, the number of cords, connections, and accessories required to get a PSVR set up for use drew many complaints. Yeah, it is a pain in the butt to hook up. There's no doubt about it. I agree with that wholly. Beyond that, there was also the fact that buying a PSVR headset also meant buying a PS4 console if you didn't already own one. By contrast, the Quest and its second iteration were cordless and required no extra hardware to operate after purchasing. Good thing Sony and PSVR 2 are hitting back with better features that have nothing to do with either of those things, interestingly enough. And you can see here with the PSVR 2 specs and how they compare to the original headset and the Oculus Quest 2, and of course the Valve Index, which is, you know, a handy little toy in my opinion, but we'll keep going. The PSVR 2 wins across the board when it comes to pixels per eye resolution. It's important. It wins as far as the quality of the display. It's an OLED. The screen refresh rate is sitting at 120 Hertz, which is a little behind the Index, but on par with all the other units. Tracking, inside-out tracking with 4 built-in cameras. Way better than, well, honestly, way better than anything else, to be honest with you. The original used the PS camera, LEDs, and accelerometers and gyroscopes, which, again, sometimes felt a little laggy, a little strange. The Index still uses the Steam VR base stations, like, you know, little lighthouses, and Oculus is using the inside-out cameras as well. So similar tech. Eye tracking, PSVR 2 does that. None of the others do. Field of view 110 degrees. That's significant. The only thing better than that, of course, is the Valve Index, which is a lot of people consider as a superior headset. Again, headset, yes. Technology, maybe not, but hey. Audio, you have a headphone jack. The Oculus Quest has built-in speakers and headphones jack, and of course the Valve Index has built-in adjustable off-ear speakers. Again, I think a superior headset, but at least PSVR is doing it pretty good. They're doing it pretty good. It is corded. The Oculus Quest is not, but they're the only one that isn't of these 4. And do you have to add hardware? Of course, you have to have a PS5, which I'm lucky I do. The PSVR, you can have a PS4 or PS5, either way. And you also need the camera. Of course, that comes with the PSVR headset, the original, anyway. Oculus Quest 2 says it's optional. And with Valve Index, obviously, you have to have a pretty decently powered computer. The controller use in PSVR 2 are the new Sense controllers, which I actually like. They're pretty comfortable. Obviously, you needed it with the previous iteration as well. And the Oculus Touch controllers were required for the Oculus headset. And of course, Valve Index controllers are required for the Valve Index. So you all needed controllers because you have to manipulate stuff in the area. So, but as you can see, they're fairly comparable, and probably the PSVR 2 would be a significant step up from the Meta headset. Let's just be fair. And they say, to be fair, the PSVR 2 does remove the required PS camera connection for a smoother operating process, but it's not fully wireless, and of course still requires a PS5 for use, effectively cementing the PS5 owners as the only ground to gain in achieving a better share of VR shipments sold going forward. Well, there you go. That doesn't mean substantial improvements in viewable pixels. That's not true. There is. field of view or vision tracking aren't going to appeal to tech enthusiasts like me. But it's important to remember that the Valve Index is already developed as a more tech-intensive VR option and is selling about as poorly as PSVR has been over the last 2 years when compared with headsets from Meta and the leasing Chinese entities. That all comes down to cost, to be honest with you, and the fact that you need a pretty decently high-powered computer for the Index, or even the HTC Vive, to be fair. Much like what makes PlayStation a leading console brand, the PSVR 2's only realistic option to gain ground is going to be the games that it offers, and those games are coming out, and there are games that are already VR ready that are being released simultaneously with their regular AAA title quality games. So I mean, there's a lot of fun experiences to be had, believe it or not, playing Skyrim in PSVR was great. I can't wait to see what it looks like on PSVR 5, but I'll keep going. Given that many AAA studios already deal with the development challenge of making their games playable on both the PS4 and PS5 hardware, it will always be easier for Sony to just collaborate with them on new games intended for PSVR, but only sticking to that model is a wasted opportunity, I agree. Hitman 3 hit 50 million players within a year of its release, making it the most popular installment of IO Interactive's new Hitman trilogy, and was also PSVR compatible from launch, with reception to the VR mode positive enough for IO to further develop a PC VR version that launched this year. So again, Sony drove development of a VR version for PC. Again, that happens quite a bit in the console versus, PC, war that goes on continually. Looks like next generation PSVR games are certainly in the works, as confirmed by Epic Games in their presentation last week for the launch of the Unreal Engine 5. The PSVR 2 logo was shown amongst a collage of studio logos already working with the next Unreal Engine, so there are certainly big games in the periphery. So there you go. And, I skipped some paragraphs. This article's pretty good. It's a decent read. It's got a lot of data and information, which I appreciate. But I think they're a little harsh in saying that, Meta's not really going, PSVR is going forward going to have less appeal, or whatever they were trying to insinuate with the headline that we were looking at. I think that the PSVR is going to be something that will take its own place, and for people who hate Facebook, it might be the most viable option. Let's just be fair. But I'm just curious, what do you think? I don't normally do tech reviews or tech talks on the channel. I like to talk about this stuff because I'm a gamer, which I think I've mentioned before. So I'm just curious, is this something you'd like to see? If so, use the comment section down below. Also, do you think that Meta going forward is probably likely the winner in the Metaverse? Or do you think that possibly there will be competitors that will bypass them? I mean, much like Facebook beat out, any previous social media platform that people were using before, like MySpace and places like that. I really think Facebook's on the way down, and so do a lot of people, including some investors. I think that Sony's PSVR 2 will be somewhat competitive, and I actually will go and acquire one. And actually demonstrate it here on the channel, or maybe on my Twitch channel. I need to get back to Twitch. But anyway, if you're curious about these types of issues, you want to see more of them, go ahead and put that in the comments. If you think Meta's going to win this race, put that in there as well. I'd like to have a conversation about this, because if you're into tech like I am, especially this stuff, and when it comes to games, I'm curious what you think. Anyway, with that being said, support other independent creators here on the platform. They absolutely deserve it. They actually need your support, because right now, if you look at my channel and the way that things have stalled, everything that you do to help out, I would appreciate. And I know that they will too. It's just an unfair competition when you're favoring corporate creators and, manipulating some of the things around the algorithm to suit them, as well as allowing them special privileges like removing dislikes and things like that, which has been happening. Don't let anybody lie to you. And with all that being said, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands, of course, because it's good hygiene. And until next time, bye.
Thanks for visiting today. Be sure you're subscribed and hit that for alerts.
Yay!
Of course, like and share all of the videos that you can, as it helps with the algorithm. Have a great day.